Hey there, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jamie, and we're your co-hosts for Two Clicks in a Pod.
Join us as we explore our missed times, stories, and memories due to divorce and 1,000-mile separation.
I can't wait. You ready to get into it, Kev?
I am. Hey, Jamie, you think they're going to swear?
Oh, yeah. Consider yourselves warned. Bring in the goods all the time, Dad. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay.
A reboot.
I will be honest and transparent and say I am okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the there's something where we always say, I feel like maybe I learned this from Chris. We always say good, not great. I'm good, not great. No, I'm feeling good though. I'm excited to hear how you're feeling in your physical mental state right now with your program and share my exciting week one news. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Little drum roll if you're I think we have an option to do that somehow. Hold on, let's see if it works.
No.
It didn't work? Maybe on my end. Oh, hold on. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 6.5 pounds.
All right. Perfect.
That's right, baby. Week one, 6.5 pounds down and feeling really good. I got through all of the caffeine withdrawal headaches and couple brutal days with that. We were over at the neighbor's house one night over at Michelle's, and I was sitting on the back patio drinking my distilled water and watching my friends all partake in their lovely happy hour. And yeah. I mean, I couldn't even keep my eyes open, Dad. My head hurt so bad. It was like down into my jaw. And they even saw it. They're like, you should just go home. I said, I'm going home. I'm getting in the bathtub. I got in the tub and I couldn't even stand the lights being on in the bathroom. I just had to go and lay down and shut all the lights off. But anyways, I survived. So for anyone who's interested in this program, I'm sure they're really interested in it now. Chris told me that night, he's like, "Hun, if this is what it's going to be like, I don't know, maybe we just need to not do this." But no, so I woke up the next day and felt fine, and I felt really good pretty much I guess that was actually Thursday night maybe, and now it's Monday, so I'm officially on day 8. We're a full weekend, and yeah, I feel good. I woke up this morning and felt like I had good energy and just the ability to get the day going without the habitual acts of drinking coffee and things like that. So feeling good. And now I have started week 2, which is the vegan week, and eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. So my running joke is this little rabbit is hungry and ready to eat. So definitely. I'm definitely eating on the window frame of because you'll do your supplements and you wait 2 hours. And so I'm hitting that timer on my phone or my watch to make sure when it's time to eat, I'm eating because I want to stay on schedule so I can eat, for the rest of the day.
Sure.
So that was one other funny story about my being, in this, what I'm doing right now. But we went back to school shopping on Saturday. Mom, Reese, and I went, and we got to the mall a little after noon. And so I literally ate my salad and my pumpkin seeds in the car on the way to the King of Prussia Mall here outside of Philly. And Mom's driving and I'm just eating. And so her and Reese had not had lunch, but Reese had a late breakfast. So anyways, we go shopping and we're pretty much done. And we leave the mall around almost 4:00. So we've been there for about 4 hours. And Reese is like, "Can we please get something to eat?" And I was like, "Well, I don't really want to sit down anywhere because I can't eat. But I'll drive you guys through." And they're like, "Okay, that would be great." So I'm like, if you have to eat, I can drive you through. And they're like, well, we're really hungry. So I drive them through Chick-fil-A, and I'm hungry as well, but you know, it's not time to eat yet. And because I was out and about, I didn't have my snack. So not only could I not eat, but I didn't even eat my snack. So we're out at Chick-fil-A, and the guy, you know, you pull through and you order outside because it's so crowded all the time. They have the people working in the drive-through. That's a whole other thing. That place is like dialed in because they're always crowded. Anyways, so the guy asked me a question, and I just was like, I don't know, but I just started babbling, and mom just starts laughing. She goes, "You're literally babbling right now." And the guy just looks at me and goes, "What?" And I go, I don't even know. What was the question again? I think he was asking like, what drinks did they want or something? And I was like, oh yeah, an iced tea and a lemonade. So we like get the food, and mom gets out. She's like, oh wow, this is like so fresh and so hot. Actually, it's really good. I just look over at her. I'm like, just keep rubbing it in. Why don't you? You know, I'm like, enjoy your freaking French fries and enjoy your iced tea. And that's what was so funny is I was more jealous of the drink than the food, because all I've had is water for so long that I was like, I would kill to drink that iced tea right now. But I didn't cheat. I got home. I made my dinner. And that was that. So anyways, enough about me. How are you feeling?
Well, my energy level is good. I had to do my assessments yesterday on Sunday, so I get those into the coach, and they're asking just, you know, how you did, how did you, number one, what's your water intake, which I really did poorly at mom's with water intake versus what I typically do here. So that was an automatic issue, I'm sure, which showed once I got home. But anyway, little rougher week. As far as staying on the meal plan, that was not a problem. Mom and I rocked and rolled that. It was really good. Meal plan was good. With was good. Had a couple of, I don't remember if we did that last week or not, but I went out for tacos with
you told me about tacos.
So had to monitor that, and made the mistake of drinking a beer with those two tacos, which I'm sure that didn't help, but you wouldn't think it would kill you. But after reading the literature, alcohol just kind of puts a dead stop, so like a stop sign for interrupting your metabolic burn. But anyway, so that was going on. Week ended up good. Good on the workouts, good on the meal plan. I could just tell something was just a little bit off. I was doing a little, not substitution of food product, but just rearranging, which is important as well. So, jumped on the scale when I got home, and I picked up 2 pounds. So, but you know, even Friday, once we got home, we got in the bus, we went up into Kentucky to a bourbon distillery where the warrant show was going on. So,
did you drink any bourbon?
I did.
Woo-hoo! I'm jealous.
So,
I'm jealous about that. What distillery was it?
It's called the Log Still Distillery.
Okay.
It was a very cool venue, very out in the middle of the country. But about $47 million invested in this. It's been in this family since the late 1700s. So
log still, like
log still
and be still. Okay.
And that comes from the first still that actually was on the property. If you look at a still today, I mean, and going through the actual distillery and seeing how they do all of this, I mean, it is just amazing.
Okay. So I'm learning something here. So a still is associated with distilling to make the bourbon.
Alcohol, any alcohol, you know, you always hear about stills in the country when they were running.
I never heard it called. I didn't know they were called. I know distillery, the word, but I didn't know they were called still. So log still is referring to that. Got it. Oh, okay. Learn something new every day. Got it.
And the original farmer who started distilling, alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ran it through it has to be, the actual still in the distillery is like 30 feet tall.
Okay.
So it's a process of making the liquid, and then you are distilling it from the top down to the bottom, increasing the alcohol content as you go. But
now will all of that be in one batch then? So all that's still released in one batch, even though it's technically
it's one batch. Yes, it's one batch. It's one batch. So they are running. Oh, I forget the gallons that they're running per minute. It's a bunch. But anyway, just taking the mash, the corn, the rye, the mix, getting it to start the fermenting process. Very, very interesting. Yeah. But the log still, the original farmer, it's the Dant family, I believe is the name, DANDT. But he hollowed out a poplar log of a length, and you run this through copper. The still is made of copper. Okay. Because that's influential in creating the actual distilling process. So even that 30-foot still in the warehouse is a huge 24-inch diameter pipe that they're running that fluid through to create the top through the bottom, and heating it up and doing what's necessary. I mean, it's monitored by degrees, but he put what he could afford. He could not afford a copper pipe. So he just found what pipe he could afford and put it into that poplar log, and then ran his mix down through that to create the distilling. That's the name Log Still, the first guy. But yeah, it's like a $48 million facility with warehouses that hold I think it's 20,000 barrels, and they will make 20,000 barrels in a production year. Oh, okay. So they are building a huge warehouse. They've only been operating the still for the last under 2 years. The still, as it's currently known, had been there forever, but it's been rebuilt, reconfigured on the original license.
Now they're starting to like really push it out, which makes sense. Why I've never heard of it. So I'm not probably able to get Log Still bourbon up here in PA. Not yet.
No, not yet. They have a brand that it's called Monk's Road is what their brand will be. Okay. By the Log Still Distillery. But in the meantime, they've taken the corn and actually had somebody producing this when they first started building the distillery to get some recognition and product out there with their recipe.
Like recipe. Yeah. Right. And now they've invested to build out the facility. Very cool. All right. Well, that is on my like bucket list of things I want to do. I want to do the Kentucky Bourbon Tour, like go to all the places that, and then obviously got to make my way over to Scotland and Ireland to do the whiskey. Right. You know how I love my whiskey. So.
Yep.
Yeah. I will do that one day. That is going to happen. That is not an if, but a when. So.
Yeah, but very cool venue. Concert was great. Very small.
So you had some drinks there, and obviously then probably food jumped off a little bit and all that.
No, didn't really. The food I didn't jump off of, other than a peanut butter sandwich after the concert. But I mean, no, it wasn't that. It was just drank a couple bourbons with mixers, at the show, and had 2 days. Friday worked out, but Saturday and Sunday. Well, Sunday we got a good walk in, but Saturday was just, I'm sure that just that alcohol, because after weighing yesterday and weighing this morning, and I'd already dropped 3 pounds. So
all right. So now you're back to negative you're down an extra pound.
Down to 8 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
How good was that peanut butter sandwich though?
It was good. It was greatness.
God, I love peanut butter. I would love to eat a peanut butter sandwich right now, but I'm not, obviously.
Yep.
I got 2 more weeks to go, Pops. 14 more days, so.
Yep, that's good. And it's the good thing about my meal plan is I can eat whenever I want to. You don't have to, as long as you're eating the meals at some point, you don't have to worry about, like I didn't eat breakfast until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then I ate a lunch at 3, and then I'm going to have dinner when we get done here. So I'm able to space it out a little bit.
Like however you want. It's not that I can't eat. It's not that I can't eat whenever I want. I just have to give so much time in between taking these supplements. So like I just took around before we got on to record here, and I'm supposed to wait 30 minutes before I have dinner. Well, obviously I'm not eating dinner right now. So I'll eat dinner when I get home. So it'll end up being, a little bit. But I wanted to get them in so that when I get home, I don't have to take them and then wait 30 minutes, because I've made that mistake a few times. Right, finally get home to eat, and I got to take the pills and wait 30 more minutes. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, the whole funny story about, preparing for the weekend and preparing, knowing that, I just got out of coming home from mom, and how well she was accepting of all the meals, and how much, and she's cooking those recipes today.
I bet she does. Yeah.
So, but yeah, on the airplane, I started Googling. I said, okay, I know I'm going to be at a distillery. What caloric intake do I have with bourbon? And it's actually not bad. It's so you get the top choices, actually, beer probably is the least 90 calories. Your seltzers are about 90 calories. They're under 100 calories. Yeah. But the carbs that come with it is the trade-off. With the bourbon, it's about 123 calories, but there's no carbs, and there's nothing else. There's no real sugar hazards. It's just you got to drink it with water, or I was drinking it with the diet drink, and drinking sodas doesn't do anything but hold water weight on you.
You were mixing your bourbon with Coke.
I will.
At a distillery. Oh, Dad, I am ashamed of you.
It was at the show. It was at the show.
Oh, okay. I thought you were tasting it and like mixing it with Coke.
At the taste, you only get like an ounce. You don't even get a shot pour, but it was really good. And they had whiskeys. They had whiskeys that they're going to make there, and they're also going to. So we went from gin to whiskey to the bourbon, and
Do you like gin? I'm not a big gin fan.
No, it's like drinking freaking witch hazel.
Yeah, I don't. It's very florally, right? Flowery, florally.
Do you know what witch hazel is?
Well, I do. You know how I know that?
Yes, you've had it on a wound.
Well, yes. After I had my babies, the backside wounds. You know what I mean?
Oh, you doctored it with witch hazel?
They recommend these pads, these witch hazel pads, to soothe your bottom. I mean, this is the thing. Everyone talks about having kids.
Nothing soothing about witch hazel.
Yeah, no, they have these witch hazel pads that are like, they're supposed to, yes. Anyways, everybody talks about like the actual act of labor and how terrible it is, but nobody tells you how hard like post labor is for the mom, because everything just falls apart. Everything falls apart.
Hey, I did. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, because if you remember after I had Reese, and were you there that day when I just absolutely fell apart, because it was like, it had been almost 2 weeks since having her, and I still wasn't able to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And I feel like you were there, and I walked out from the bedroom, and of course Mom was there because she was helping us, and she and Chris were like, what's wrong? And I just like broke. I was all stressed out, and they're like, what's going on with you? And it wasn't like, they were like, I think they were afraid I had like postpartum. And I'm like, I need to poop. I couldn't go to the bathroom. And Oh God. Anyways, so I try all the new moms out there when they're pregnant. I try to give them not to scare them, but say, just so you know, you should think about these things as well.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Mom opened up about some postpartum issues that she had. Yeah, that was sad to hear.
It's sad. Yeah, it's hard. But anyway, sorry. Man, we do that a lot. I kind of
we do.
a little bit of a tangent.
Hey, you notice anything different about my hair today?
I do. It's got a bit of a wave going. It's going like this a little bit.
It's clean.
Well, mine's. You know what? Mine's kind of clean.
Yeah.
I
just put my fingers through it and wetted it and put a little.
I like it.
Put a little product in there, and it looked like I ran it through a curling iron. So it looks good.
Well, you obviously have it longer if it's able to do that. Your hair.
Yeah, it is quite a bit more than it longer. Yeah.
Well, I like it.
Well, thank you. I like it as well. It turned out well.
Chris's hair will do that little wave too when he, lets it grow out. I like that. I like a wave in a man's hair. I think it looks good. It's looking very silvery today.
Yeah, I thought about putting a dye cap on and actually putting streaks of black in it. I've been
don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It looks good. Let it go natural. It looks good. You know what, Dad? It makes your blue eyes really pop.
Oh, does it? On
that light. Oh yeah, they look great.
If they're open. The tour guide at the distillery, he had one eye. His eyes both open, but he always kept one shut. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Oh, he may have had a lazy eye, Dad.
I think it was. His name was Frank, and he did an awesome job. That guy knew the history of that place inside and out. I'm telling you.
So is this close to where Suzanne lives, or it's just close to where you guys went for that show?
It's close to Elizabethtown, where her uncle lives. So it's just 2 hours up the road.
Well, maybe we'll meet there one day, because that's a shorter drive than to Nashville, right? If we went and met in Kentucky and did the bourbon stuff there.
Well, that's where you would want to do it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
I'm saying we should do that. We should plan that and do that is what I'm saying.
Okay, that sounds like a blast.
I'll get on that.
We could just rent an Airbnb somewhere.
Yeah.
Instead of in a hotel.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. I'm all about that.
We got we got concert to go to on Wednesday. Sammy's bringing the boys in for the around the world tour. So
where's that at? Where are you? Is that in Nashville?
Bridgestone.
Oh, nice.
Inside.
So not to this is going to sound probably really silly to you, but I have been trying to give a go at country music again. Mm-hmm. I'm a big country fan, but I started to lose interest in the mid 2000s because it just got really poppy. And I don't hate on people who like it. To me, it's not that good of music. It's entertaining, it's fun, but I just don't think it's that great. It all kind of sounds the same, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I kind of fell off the country music bandwagon. I'm trying to get back into it. And so I've really been, and I'm so behind the wagon. I've been listening to this Zach Bryan guy.
Yeah.
Do you listen to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Really liking that. I was listening to that when I was working over here waiting to record with you, but I didn't know if you had seen him in concert.
I've not seen Zach Bryan. I know who he is, but I've not seen him.
Do you listen to him or not really?
Occasionally, but not very often.
Oh, okay. It's probably not your kind of country. It's a little, it feels to me it's a little bit more mellow, but his writing is very deep, like his words. His songwriting I really like. Anyways, just letting you know, I'm trying to give it a whirl back into the country music. And so,
well, I think that's one thing good about when we went down to that Ryman show and saw America. I mean, nobody in this day and age probably knows who they are, but they were early 70s. And I mean, my point being is they bring in a lot of just not everybody is a headliner that comes into the Ryman. So
right.
it's a great honor. That's why they call it going to church. That it's just an honor to be there, and the acoustics. And I think just no matter who you hear, what you see, I'm convinced that it will change you from being a upbeat music listener to just appreciating the music, if that makes any sense. It is taking advantage of all talent levels and what's provided there. So
that's cool. I would really like to go to a show there next time I'm in town. So just write that down.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's good catching up. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I talked to you not that long ago, but it seems like I haven't really talked to you in a while.
Yeah, it was last week when we were at Mom's. So, I mean, it was just days ago.
Oh, you're not missing me too much then, huh?
No, we're back on a good schedule. I like the fact that we're taping this on a Monday. That makes me more comfortable than some of the running around that we've had to do recently. So
good. Well, I'm glad you're comfortable. So,
well, let's get into the topic today.
The topic for today.
I think we're going to just.
We're rolling, trying to keep this forward. Somewhat equal, right? So that's what we were saying. We touched on when we hit your story. We kind of looped middle school and high school together, and so you were saying let's just keep that flow. So
let's keep the flow, knowing that I was in 7th grade through 12th grade within a building. I know that you were in 2 buildings, 6th through 12th, but
3 buildings.
3 buildings.
So, Maitland Middle School.
Okay.
Winter Park, 9th grade center.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right.
That's right. And then Winter Park main campus. So, at Winter Park High School, they separate freshmen into what was the original high school. I'm not sure when it stopped being that, but and so all 9th graders go to 9th grade center, and then you transition to main campus in the 10th grade.
Yeah. How many kids were in your 9th grade?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I feel like I had this conversation with the girls, and I thought our class was like 600 kids, and I'm pretty sure that Julie was like, "No, it wasn't." I think Julie said she thought it was more like 400, but I said, well, maybe by the time it was over, but she's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we wouldn't lose 200 people. So let's just say, why don't we just split the difference and say there were 500 kids in our class?
Okay. That's a lot of kids.
For the size of our school and all of that, I feel like that's probably about right. Because we were in like the largest division for sports activities. I can't remember how they refer to it now. I feel like there was like a 6 in there, like 6A or something. I don't know. And so, I mean, it was a big school. I mean, Winter Park's a big school.
Yeah. And why do I remember 800 graduating, though? It's kind of what I remember.
800?
Yeah. No.
Oh. I don't know. I mean, maybe because that graduation ceremony was so freaking long.
It was terrible.
I mean, if you will remember this, do you remember how many valedictorians we had in our graduating class?
I should be good at math, and I am. So, no.
Well, that's a memory. It's not a math problem. There were 11 valedictorians. So we had to sit through 11 speeches because all of them got the honor of giving a speech because even though they did weighted grade point averages, we still, if you had an all A's for all 4 years, you were considered a valedictorian. They didn't take into account the weighted averages for that honor. I don't know if they still do that or not. So yeah, to your point about it being long, it was long. There were 11 speeches, and we had that out at, because it was so large, they held that out at UCF. It wasn't
right.
It was not on campus or anything.
Right.
So yeah. So 3 buildings over the course of 6th grade through 12th grade. Yeah.
Did going back to just let's set up a timeline here. So in ninth grade, what year was that?
1994, I think.
94. Okay.
94. So that would have been like the 94, 95 school year, right? 94, 95, 95, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98. No, it would have been 95, 96. Shane would have started at 94 because
95,
I graduated in 1999.
Right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Class of 99, baby. So yeah, so
okay.
Yep.
So is there obviously 6th through 8th grade in the middle school?
Mm-hmm.
Can walk me through just where you were. You know, you've mentioned in the past just being a little bit, I don't know if shy is the right word, but a little bit trying to get your feet underneath you at a younger age. So how did you feel moving up from, into 6th grade, the middle school, getting your feet wet that year on into, and moving through to 8th grade? Was there anything that really
I would not use the word.
you?
Yeah, I would not say I was shy. I don't think I've ever been shy in a true sense of that word. Now, there's all
I'm sure everybody would agree with that statement.
Yeah. I mean, there's all different ways of thinking about and defining shyness, I guess, but I would never call myself shy. What I would say is, and this is so funny because in preparing for the last episode we recorded and this episode, I came over to Mom's. I started going through old pictures and I mean, let me tell you how I felt because all I had to do was look at those pictures to remember. So I was very secure in my friendships. I had a lot of confidence in that. And I think hence why I wasn't shy. So I feel like I was probably very confident in social settings. I was very insecure though in my physical appearance. I was very like I remember in middle school is when you start having the boy girl birthday parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And growing up in Florida and everybody having swimming pools, a lot of these parties were boy girl pool parties.
Okay.
So in preparing for these birthday parties, as you do in middle school, you're like asking your girlfriends, what are they going to wear? What bathing suit are you going to wear? And this is when all the girls were starting to wear 2-piece bathing suits. Well, I'm still carrying, the baby fat and up until 7th grade, the glasses, the braces, and just having to go to these birthday parties with no boobs, I didn't look anything like some of my friends. And then I had to wear a 2-piece bathing suit on top of it. Oh my God, the stress that I would feel about that and just the anxiety was just so very real. So how I managed, I'm actually, not to toot my own horn, but toot, how I managed to actually have the confidence I did is actually pretty impressive because I must have been doing something right in terms of personality. Just because, again, I looked like a dork. 100%. 100%. You're not saying anything. You're just laughing.
Well, number one, we had a good discussion last time about those glasses, and I do remember those glasses, both pairs. So I can understand your frustration.
Oh my God. I just in looking through those pictures.
But we all were. I mean, I was wore glasses. I had glasses. Yeah. Yep.
I think it wasn't even just the glasses. It was just that, again, and I want to be careful how I describe myself because I don't want to body shame anyone here, but I feel like I can body shame myself. I mean, I was chubby, I had literally I still had baby fat cheeks. I mean, I had round cheeks and a little, my belly was round, but yet I was small, I was short, but I wasn't small, but yet I was. I just was so awkward, Dad. And I guess I only felt awkward when I had to be in those situations. But outside of that, I feel like I was very confident in myself. And the only thing I can attribute that to is just, I just had really good friends that must have really loved me because,
you're going to have to put some pictures up to get that. I was hoping you had one at your right hand where you could actually share it with me right now. But
I have plenty. I took a bunch of pictures because I was like, I can only share these for people to go, really? And again, I am not saying this to garner like any attention or favor, but I am just telling you, this is a great one. This is one of me and Shane. It's not going to show, but this is with me and Shane, and I literally have my headgear on. Headgear.
Yeah.
And in this picture, though, I have on my wired frame tortoiseshell glasses. So not the plastic ones, but and Shane's just sitting there, and he's so skinny, and he looks so cute. And here I am, just like, and then wait till you see the one I post of Julie and I were at the beach, and we were playing tennis. And we both have on, I think we had matching bathing suits, or they're very similar. Why I even tried to match her, God only knows. And we have our Umbro shorts on. And wait till you see this. I mean, it's just hit after hit. I'm like flipping through the photo album, just like, and I kept looking at Mom going, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "Oh, I think you're so cute." I'm like, "Mom, you just have to stop." Anyways, enough about that. So yeah, I guess to say no, I was not shy, but I did have a lot of just insecurities with my physical appearance. And I think that's hard because that's the, again, this is the point in your life where you are starting to have crushes on boys, and, boys are having crushes on girls. This is where you talked about this, wanting to ask the girl to the dance and being so nervous. Well, a little different in that you didn't go with the date to the dance. So in middle school, we had this, I don't know what it was run by, but we had something called Rock Haven, and they put on like social gatherings, dances. I feel like they were once a month, but maybe they were once a quarter. And you would show up to those, and that was a big thing. Like, those were on Friday nights, so going to Rock Haven, and it was at like the Civic Center there in Maitland. So you would go to Rock Haven, and you wanted to look good, and you danced to the current music, obviously. But then at the end of the night, they played the slow songs, and that is when you got asked to couple dance. And couple dance at that time was, the traditional hands on the shoulders, but boy and the girl put their hands on their shoulders, and you just kind of sway back and forth. Well, as we got older in middle school and everyone started to go more fresh, it was like, would the boy put his hands on your butt?
Oh, yeah.
Like, would they slide your hand down and like grab your ass? Well, nobody was really grabbing my ass because I wasn't being asked to couple dance. So I was very much involved in the social setup, though, of who is going to ask who, and maybe someone would be like, "Oh, well, will you tell him that I would dance with him if he would ask me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I was all about being a part of it. Then the time would come to dance, and I would just be on the sidelines.
Did you attract all the guys that wore glasses?
Nobody wore glasses, Dad.
Oh.
I mean, maybe one or two people. I legitimately feel like I probably got asked to couple dance a couple of times, and it was definitely as a friend. Not like they liked me. Not like they were crushing on me. They probably just felt sorry for me. But that was pretty much all of middle school, a lot of middle school. And then in high school, I started out in ninth grade at ninth grade center, and I was in the IB program, which separated me from not separated me. I mean, we were all in the same school, but all of my class, like, I wasn't having classes with any of the friends from elementary school and middle school. I was in with all the other kids that were in the IB program. And there were a handful of kids from our middle school, but I don't know if you remember this, but IB brought in kids from all over the county. So there were kids coming in from, where they would have gone to Edgewater, where they would have gone to Dr. Phillips. They were all coming to Winter Park. So I was meeting all these new people. And so that was kind of fun because I felt like in a way I was able to, not reinvent myself, but be who I was then. Because at that point I'd started to slim out a little bit. I mean, I had the contacts, I still had braces, but like everybody had braces. So that wasn't a big deal. Mm-hmm. So ninth grade was a little bit better. I tried out for cheerleading, made cheerleading, loved, that was a great day, obviously. And, so it started slowly in ninth grade and into 10th grade. And then in 10th grade, again, you can like just see such a change as you watch the pictures, like how quickly it's finally flipped for me.
Right.
So in 10th grade was when I dropped IB. I told you guys, I think I said that. I decided it was too much of a time commitment. It withheld me socially. So, meaning I had to work really hard to maintain grades, and it was harder than I wanted to work if I still wanted to have an active social life. And that was important to me. We should have seen the handwriting on the wall then. But so when 10th grade came around, I go back into classes with, the other people, quote unquote. And in
the commoners,
the rest of us. And then in my sophomore year Spanish class was when I met who would become my first boyfriend, serious, like in those days, serious boyfriend, Nick Romano. So I don't know if you
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember Nick? Did you ever meet Nick?
The name is, I think I did. You'd have to describe him, but I think the funny part is his last name is Romano.
Well, he was Italian. Yeah. Yep.
And what color of hair? What describe him to me?
Brown hair, dark complexion. I mean, he looked obviously kind of Italian. But not like the Italians do up here, like a Florida Italian.
That was in 10th grade or 9th grade?
So we met in 10th grade, and he was going out, had a girl, whatever you say. I don't remember what we said back then. I guess girlfriend with somebody else when I met him. So we really just clicked as friends, but I crushed on him hard.
Gotcha.
But he had this other girl he was interested in. And of course I went back to my facilitating ways, and I was helping him out with securing that and all this stuff. Cause I remember something about homecoming. I mean, this is hazy, but so he went to homecoming with someone else, and I went to homecoming with a friend. Again, not a romantic thing, not a crush thing.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman year was the same way. And, actually, I pretty much always went to dances with friends, because once I then started dating people, we were either in a fight or breaking up or broke up when it was time to get asked to the dance. So I pretty much went to every dance with a friend, even if I was then at that point kind of dating somebody else.
So, but when you say you went with a friend, it was with a guy friend. It wasn't just going as a bunch of girls. Yeah.
No, went with a guy friend. No. I mean, I went every year. Every year I went to homecoming. I went to prom, both junior and senior year. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure those guy friends still were hoping to be able to put their arms around you and stuff their hands in your back pockets. I think
in the back of my dress. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that.
You didn't get to wear jeans or anything
Not to homecoming. Homecoming, you wore a dress.
Just to the regular dances. Just to the.
Okay. So in high school,
the less formal dances.
The weekends dances. That was weekends. Yeah. Weekends was a social club through the high school, and they put on dances once a month, social gatherings, and those locations changed each time. And Dad, I love to dance. I mean, I was always dancing back then, you were booty dancing. So I was like, Meredith and I would definitely get down on the dance floor, because we would go with all of the, we'd get in the circle with all of our Black friends that they were all really good dancers. And Meredith and I would get in there, and they would put us in the center of the circle, but they'd be like, go white girls, go white girls. Because we thought we could dance like they could. So we loved that. Oh, that was huge. So yeah, we did that. And I'm sure there was slow dancing in high school, but high school the whole dynamic kind of changed, because that's when you started getting into all the we were not great kids. We were showing up to those dances and we had been drinking. So it was like, yeah.
Yep. So how long did Nick stay around, or how long did it take you to scare him off?
Well, so that was trying to piece together those details. So it obviously it had to have been like second semester of sophomore year, I feel like, is when we started, where whether or not he was my boyfriend, but we were starting to like each other. And then I went to Texas for the summer, because I remember I was writing him letters and probably talking on the phone. And that was over summer break. You may remember that.
Yeah. That's probably where I do remember it.
Right. And then I came back to school, and we definitely were still an item, I think, the beginning of junior year. And then we broke up. I broke up with him. But I couldn't remember if I broke up with him in the school year or like right before summer break. I don't know, but that's not
important. The important thing is why. The why.
Well, because I was getting attention from other boys at that time, and I just was enjoying that.
Yeah.
And it was a very intense relationship for as young as we were. So this is kind of awkward, but I lost my virginity to Nick.
Oh, shit.
At a very young age. You obviously didn't know that.
No, I did not.
The first one of my friends to do that. And I still remember the night I was taking a bath and Mom came in and sat down, and we were like, she was trying to talk to me, and she was basically trying to talk about sex. And I just was like, and we had never talked about that stuff before. Like we just didn't talk about that. And I kind of was like, yep. And at that point in my mind, I was like, well, the ship's already sailed, and I still didn't tell her, even though she's like, you can tell me, but we didn't talk about that. So, and she and I have talked about that since then, obviously as adults, and just why I am already talking to Reese about those things, because I want her to feel comfortable coming to me when we get to that point. Let's hope it's not as young as I was, but yeah, I was very young. Very young. Yeah.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Yep. So that happened. And then it just was very intense. Like we were intense. And so I broke up with him. And what's funny is at the 20-year reunion, he was there, which was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago. And he's standing there with his wife or whatever. And he even brings that up. He's like, yeah, you broke up with me to go out with such and such. And I was like, well, yeah,
when you use the description or the word intense, what does intense mean in that light? I mean, that doesn't really tell me anything. You were intense. Intense in emotion or intense?
Yeah, like I think the emotions were very intense. Like literally I want to say that it was like, we'll be together forever.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean?
Young love. Yeah. Did you have a promise ring?
No.
No.
I did get him a gold chain though, because that's what boys wore. Did
it have a 48 on it?
No, no, he did not. Nobody wore the numbers then. But I did give him a gold chain, and when I broke up with him, he it was that whole act of literally bringing a box and giving me back all this stuff I had given him.
Oh, wow.
Very dramatic. Yeah, very dramatic.
Did you bring that up when you saw him at the reunion?
No, but a lot of it too was, he loved my family. So I think part of it was just, I mean, he was over at the house a lot. He went to church with us on Sundays. Like, he was around a lot, and he was around the family a lot. And I think that was part of it too. Like, when I broke up with him, I think it was a big loss for him. It was more than just me. It was like a big part of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just really, I was just kind of just buzzing around to what, I had a lot of guy friends. Truly, they were friends. And so I was just hanging out with different people and meeting different people and getting attention. And like we talked about, it felt really good because for so long I wasn't getting any attention, that was, so those last 2.5 years of high school were very different for me socially in terms of that. So
you guys broke up halfway through sophomore year, and so you had...
No, it would have been junior year. We would have broke up junior year. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So a little over a year to go. Gotcha.
Well, and it would have been, I thought if I'd had time, I would have called him and just said, help me piece together these dates. Cause I don't remember it all too well. Other than that, I broke up with him. And then, to this day though, like, I do think, even though I was so young, I will say, I know that boy loved me. You know what I mean? I mean, he absolutely adored me. And so it was, I guess, even though being that young, it wasn't a bad situation. You hear some people tell stories where it's like, maybe they were
one and done
or taken advantage of or something. It was like, it was not like that for me, at all. So so then I just I dated a couple other of people in high school, and that's the thing. And this is like, I remember telling, my sister Kelsey this when she was going through all this stuff in high school. I just remember telling her, it feels so big right now. So I don't want to diminish that for you. I don't want to say it's not, but just, I promise you, it isn't. Like, I promise you, there will be so much more past this, and just like, be sad, be in this moment, because you can't tell a 16, 17, 18-year-old when they're that age that what they're feeling isn't going to mean anything in 5 years, because in that time, everything feels so big. The friendships are, so important. I mean, I made really good friends in high school, and by the end, I had lost those friendships over stupid stuff. And some of those over boys, where there was jealousy, like, oh, well, he liked me, and then I ended up being friends with them, and that turned into something more, and I stole that person from them. And it's like, I didn't, you know what I mean? But in that age, everything is just so emotional, and your hormones, you're at the height of puberty, and just all these things. And so there was just, I had a lot of that just through high school, a lot of drama associated with relationships, both in a, quote unquote romantic way and with girlfriends. So, but through that, I think you learn who, not to sound corny, but you learn like who your real friends are, and who's going to stand the test of time and who doesn't. And I have those friends today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's a little different than your high school experience.
Oh yeah. Not even close.
Yep.
Not even close. So anyway, wrap up the last year or the last half of your senior year. What was going on in your mind there? When did you actually decide to go to Florida State, make that decision?
So I applied early. I didn't have to, but I toured 2 schools in Texas, if you remember. I toured Baylor, which is where Stu went to school, and I went and toured UT in Austin. And
Yep.
so I applied to University of Texas, Austin, Baylor in Waco, and FSU.
Mm-hmm.
And, I say I applied to Baylor. I may not have even applied because after I toured, I was like, what do they do here? It's at that point, that was long before, Chip and Joanna Gaines came on the scene and blew up Waco. This was long before Baylor football came back and had, national championship contention team. So it was just a very small school in a very small town where there wasn't a lot going on. So I remember coming back from that and just kind of being like, what would I do there? Again, it was all about the social aspect. So I applied to UT, I applied to FSU, and I'd said if I got into Texas, I was going to go to UT. And I didn't get in. So that was disappointing because at that time I was still very much like I wanted to go into communications. I wanted to, go into radio or film or media or something. And so when I applied, it asked what your major was going to be. And I checked communications. Well, the communication school at University of Texas is like one of the top communication schools in the country. So, and I didn't at that time, I had the grades. I didn't have the test scores. So I think in hindsight, had I applied like undecided, I could have had a better chance of getting in. But
I see.
But I didn't because I was like, no, that's what I want to do. So anyways, I obviously did not get in. I got into Florida State. And at that point I had decided I was not going to Florida. So at that point, the divide has established. When that really happened, I can't remember exactly, but I knew I did not even apply to Florida. So got into Florida State, applied pretty early and made that decision early on because I knew, everything was so how quickly you accepted was like getting in queue for your dorm rooms and all that stuff. So I'd heard horror stories of waiting too long. And like Shane got a really shitty dorm freshman year because he waited so long and I didn't want to do that. So I applied early, accepted early, and made that decision pretty early into my senior year. And then on top of that, decided to go for summer school that year. So I went up to Tallahassee the summer before fall term and did the 6-week summer school. Julie and I did that. And that was awesome. I don't regret that at all. So senior year for me, it was like, going to Florida State was decided. That was exciting. And that was also a year where, as I mentioned, there was some drama that went down with friends and boyfriends, girlfriends. And so by the time school was ending, I was very ready to leave. I was very ready to go to college. At that point too, like Mom and I we fought constantly. We just didn't get along. And a lot of that was me. I was just a very, I guess you could say, when you think about the bratty girl who's just not nice to her mother, that was probably me. For what reason, I don't know. I mean, she didn't do anything, but it wasn't, I don't know. I just was kind of shitty to her. So when school was nearing the end, I was just, I was ready to go. I was ready to move on. I was very excited about leaving home. I was excited to just start that phase. We were already, again, we were already at that point, drinking and partying. So it was like a lot of that was, I'm going to move up to school and be able to, do all those things without the stress of getting caught.
Yeah.
Because that was another thing. I was, I don't know if I ever told you this, but my bedroom there at the house that we lived in through middle school and high school, I was in, after Mom and Dad did the addition, I moved into what was there originally the master bedroom. So I had a good sized room and my own bathroom in my room. And on the weekends, we would go out, the girls and I, and typically there'd be a party or a dance or something. And we'd go out and we'd be drinking. And because Mom and Dad would go to sleep before I got home, like I had a curfew and the rule was you have to be home by this time and you got to come in and check in with us and let us know you're home. Well, they were always asleep. They were not the parents that waited up on the couch. So all of my girlfriends knew that. So on Friday and Saturday nights, everybody stayed at my house because we could roll in and I would check in, hey, we're home. And we would either stay up and talk and hang out. And there would be like anywhere from 3 to like 6 or 7 of us. And,
oh my.
And the only rule was that Julie always got bed with me because I had a queen size bed. So it would be me and Julie in the bed. And then at least 1 to 4 other girls on the floor. And, we would, whatever. And some nights we would come in, check in, and then we'd wait a little bit. And then we'd sneak out.
Check out.
Go back out. We used to love to sneak out, and we wouldn't go back out and party. We would go to the Denny's there on, I think it was on Aloma Avenue by the high school. We would go to Denny's and we would eat breakfast, at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we'd come home and sneak back in and go to bed. But there was at least a handful of times, probably 2 handfuls, where Stu found out somehow we had been out drinking or smoking, something, cigarettes, whatever. And he would come in the room like at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he would just come over to me and he would like tap me to wake me up. And he would just say, dining room table, 5 minutes. And I go, okay. And I'd roll over and it would wake Julie up, and Julie would look at me and she'd just go, sorry, dude. And I was like, and I would just say like, it's all right. I'll be back. And I'd walk out, and there'd be like either what he found, or we would just sit there and he would say what he knew. And I was always honest. I never lied. I never tried to say I didn't do it. I would just say like, yep, I know, I'm sorry. Yep. No, yep, won't do it again. And I would always lose my car for 2 weeks. That was the punishment. The car would be gone for 2 weeks. So then I'd have to suffer through that. I'd get rides, whatever, no big deal. And then I'd get the car back. And then sure enough, within another month, I'd probably had lost the car again, so this was just like the cycle. And to this day, we all laugh about that. And I think that was even in Julie's like maid of honor speech at the wedding, where she kind of came clean to her mom and dad finally, like, hey, and all those times, like, basically I took the blame for a lot of shit. And that was the role that I played. So yeah, I was probably ready to move on and be able to do all that I was doing without getting in trouble. So but yeah, high school, I feel like I lived a very typical high school. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of drama, a lot of things, and just kind of weathered through.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else you want to bring forward? I don't have any real specific questions, but I mean, sounds like you were a party animal.
Yeah, it was yeah. Again, it's well, and we never talked about this yet. Maybe we can talk about that in another time, but well, it would have been these years when, you guys had the Dunkin' Splash parties there and during the summer. And not that any of this was y'all's fault or anything, but my parents drank. I grew up around adults drinking and seeing that. And that one Dunkin' Splash, that was when I was in the throes of it, but you were at the bar there at the pool house bar and doing root beer bombers with your buddies, which root beer bombers is a shot of root beer schnapps dropped into a mug of beer, and you chug the whole thing. And for whatever reason, right around the age of 16, I feel like you would let me drink with you guys occasionally. I could have a beer or whatever.
Have a beer. Yeah.
Have a beer. Well, that, because we were in a full-blown, as the sign of the party said, FUBAR situation, I rolled up to the pool house with you and started doing root beer bombers with you and your buddies. I was probably 16 years old.
Yeah,
and then as Dano loves to tell the story, he put me on trial for, I don't even know why he put me on trial. What was that all about? I guess I got out of control.
I don't think it was out of control. I think it was just Dan being Dan, and we you were right there with us, and I don't think we really even realized you were right there with us until we took a look around and realized that you were doing root beer bombers. And so I don't know. I think that's just Dan's humor of saying, grabbing the robe or whatever he put on and
Yeah.
acted like he was a judge and putting you on trial.
Yeah.
And I do remember what came out of that was it wasn't like it was just happenstance. I mean, I was surprised that you were doing root beer bombers and not just drinking a beer or two. And I know I put a contract in front of you after that day stating that you would not drink again until you turned 21.
I think I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
And you signed that contract. So I have to say that, it didn't hold up for very long, but you did sign that document.
Well, I vaguely remember that now that you bring it up. I would have never remembered that had you not. But I will tell you too, another thing is that now if I did that today, I would probably I'd probably be dead tomorrow. So as those close to me know, I can't drink like that. I carry the worst hangovers of probably anybody I know. And the fact that I did that and then got up the next day and was just bouncing around, those were the good old days.
Did you not read my little short story that I sent you?
You didn't send that to me. You didn't send that to me. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I sent it in an email.
Oh, I'll read it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's Quarters, Chili, and Garth.
All right. Well, I'll read it. Well, hey, we're there.
We're
there. So, hey, I want to do this because I feel like I just was really not shy. I shared a lot of things that I know most parents would not be proud of, but now you know. So
it's
with
too
that,
late. I don't have to worry about it now.
Yeah. Well, exactly. This is the time to share it. So,
yep.
Interested for those listening, who have children that maybe are of that age, that high school age. What is it like with having high school kids now? I mean, they got to be doing the same shit. I can't imagine they're not. So I'm just curious, like what that's like, what those dynamics are like. I don't know. For our listeners that are living in that scenario, fill us in. I need a little preparation for what's coming my way pretty soon. But
that's a good call. Yeah.
Good call. So, hey, I'm going to jump to a Don't Be Shy that we got from the website. And this is a question for you. And I appreciate this because it is a question about what this listener has heard. And this is coming from my very dear friend, my best friend up here in Pennsylvania, Liz. And she asked, Dad, this is referring back to episode 8, where we talked about us relocating to the East Coast. And Liz wants to know, how did Colleen have the rights to move the kids to Atlanta? Was there an option to turn that down? So that's a good question. I guess what she's saying is, did you have any ability to say no?
As I remember, and of course we have the divorce document now. I have a copy. I know you have a copy, but I'm pretty sure that the document stated that a move long distance outside the state could not occur without the two coming to an agreement. So there was that's a good thing. I will go back and research that, but I know that there was the ability that approval, I think, needed to be discussed and kind of worked around, and it as well identified what kind of visitation there would be in lieu of the fact of you moving out of state. So,
yeah, I do remember reading that in the divorce papers. So I guess maybe the question is, when it was brought to you, did you feel like you had a choice, or do you think some of your guilt put you in a position where you were like, well, I'm not going to tell her, I'm not going to stop her from this happening for her.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. Guilt for sure. And that's one thing that was, that burdened me forever. And when I say forever, for a long period of time. And I pretty much remember for the first time that I finally it was 10 years before me just accepting it for what it was and trying to get over it. And that was always a very difficult thing for me to let go. So, I'm sure it was me just feeling like I was doing the right thing for her and the family, and just, for me to suffer the consequences of the decisions that I made.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I that is what I would have guessed, So.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for the question, and yeah, hopefully that answered that for you. Just to let you know, I am connecting with Holly tomorrow, so we'll catch up and I'll share with you how that goes. But as always, keep the questions, keep the comments, keep the feedback coming. We love to receive it, and we will share it here if it's something we think you all might want to be a part of. So
yeah,
keep it up. All right, Dad. What else? Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to offer a takeaway from today. I think
please do.
a lot of good insight, and just different times, different places, different eras of you taking on your party life at a younger age. Mine kind of started occurring after getting into college. Drank a little bit as a senior, but not much. But once at school and hanging out with the guys, and better yet, we could drink at that age.
Right,
so
legally.
We could drink at 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my era of fun, frolicking, and as well silly and stupid moves that come with alcohol. So.
Well, and the moves just got sillier and stupider as we got into college. So there are lots of good times.
So yeah. So even though two peas in a pod, the peas were separated a little bit in timing and distance of occurrence, but.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, I think it was funny. Kevin Topp mentioned the other day, and I don't know if I shared this with you, but how we all knew that there were parties going on behind the scenes, but we just never got invited.
Well,
so,
yeah. Well, and that was a real thing. Like some of them you knew you weren't going to be welcomed there, and there were the people that were, and sometimes you were like, well, let's just go. I remember we would debate that, should we go? Should we not go? And I always had Shane there. And when I would show up, if Shane would be there, he would just get so pissed off and be like, you shouldn't be here, and I'd just look at him and be like, whatever, you're here, like he tried to be protective. And I just kind of said, I'm not listening to you. I'm allowed to be where I can be, But and
as Shane will be all he can be, right?
Yep. Right. Of course. Yep. So always the life of the party, but yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I hear you on that. But yeah, we just hit it at different phases, but as we'll talk about later in future episodes, we hit our phase where we started doing it together.
Yep.
All right, okay. Daddy. Well, I sure do love you.
Good wrap up. Yeah. Love you too. Have a
great
better
week.
Have a better second half of your week, I guess, maybe. So
yeah,
even though we're not into the second half. So
I'm gonna turn it from good to great. And I'm gonna keep rolling on my fitness and health thing here. It's not really fitness because I'm not allowed to work out. But yeah, I appreciate that, and it'll turn up.
Yeah, with everything you're not eating, you work out, you pass out. So there you go.
Oh, Dad, walking up the stairs is a challenge. So.
Oh my.
I love you.
All right, love you. Take care. Tell everybody hi.
Thank you for tuning in today. With so many podcasts out there, we are grateful you chose to spend your time with us.
And we'd love to hear from you. So send us your questions, comments, and feedback to info@twoclicksinapod.com, and we might feature your message in a future episode.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social and head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch the full episode live and in living color. You can find us at 2 Clicks in a Pod. That's 2, as in the number, clicks in a pod.
Well, James, until next time, love you.
Love you too, Daddy.